All right, so we should be live here. I'm going to wait for people to trickle in since this is a question and answer session. Um, just a heads up at the start of the video. If you're watching this later, and I will probably explain this a couple of times throughout the video, um, if you're watching this sometime before February, like you're just watching a replay because you missed it, um, keep in mind that my version of the FG Assistant app is always going to be slightly ahead of the general public's just because, I've got to build it and use it to test features and things. So if you see something that is not included uh, in what you have or you have access to, and it's driving you nuts and you think that you're going crazy because you can't find it, it may be a feature that is not yet released to the public. So keep that in mind. Um, I think most things, there is only a couple of things that are not public yet. And I'll go over those just because they're coming in the February update. So I want to, kind of tease them. Um, so I guess I can do that now while we wait for people to sort of trickle in. Let's zoom that down. Had the YouTube screen on top of my FG Assistant. So what we've got that is coming up in February are, I think Grant has showed this off once or twice, but we've got the all-time records here. And this will just kind of keep track of a lot of different things and sort of give you an idea of who is doing the best in or the worst in your universe. This is based on the universe that you have selected in the main menu. So if you select something different, these will change. But you've got things like the most wins, the most losses. If there's a tie, it will denote that. Um, like because I've run almost 8 years of cards, like if I go to best match, it's going to have 22 5-star matches because I've had 22 5-star matches. And you can't really get higher than that. So, essentially, that will become a list of 5-star matches. But if you haven't had any 5-star matches or you're very judicious about handing out a 5-star match, that will actually, if your highest match is a 4-star match or a 4.5-star match, that will denote that it won't. It's not just meant to show 5-star matches. Worst match is the same thing. Dud is the lowest you can go, so it will have a list of all your duds. Again, if you're judicious about handing out dud, you probably won't have a 37-way tie like I do. But I do it based on fatigue counters, so sometimes you've got a dud. You've only got one fatigue counter in the whole match, and so the match ends up being a half a star, which anything less than 1 star in my head is a dud. So um, then we have things like the most 5-star matches. For me, that is Ed Lewis. He has the most 5-star matches with 6. Um, the most duds, the Dusek Riot Squad, because they're constantly disqualified. So they've got 4 duds. The most squashes is Earl Caddick in my universe. Um, he has squashed the most people, and the most times squashed. This is like the loser of squash matches, and for me, that's Henry Erslinger. Not surprising. He kind of has been my go-to jobber. And then we have some card and match things. Longest card, 3 hours and 16 minutes. Shortest card is 20 minutes and 24 seconds. Lots of short, quick DQs and things on that one. The longest match was the Whitehall Lords and the Zabisco brothers. That went for 40 minutes. That was a long one. And the shortest match was Mae Young and Nell Stewart, which went for 1 minute and 20 seconds. But yeah, so this is just going to track all sorts of stuff. If you can think of other things that you would like tracked, you can always let me know. The only thing I will say is that there are some things that can't be tracked, like eliminations in a battle royal or a multi-man match aren't tracked. It's just not a thing that the match engine keeps track of. So there's no way for me to track that information. And even if the match engine was able to track it, if I added that, it wouldn't carry on after the match ended. So once you closed the program or started another match or whatever, there would be no way to store that information. So that one can't be done. But a lot of other things probably could be done that I didn't think of. I just added what I could think of. And this was a suggestion by a promoter. I'm looking up who suggested it. I believe. Oh, it's in stupid promoter mode or streamer mode. AWFF Tony suggested that one, so I definitely added it in. It works pretty well so far. I'm still testing it. It still does weird things like for a long time it was giving Muldoon 22 wins even though he's got 23, and I didn't know why that was. So yeah, I mean I'm still adjusting it, making sure that it's doing what it's supposed to and all of that stuff. So, but it should be available in February there. Um, and we've got what else is new? That's new. This is not. This is in the current January build. It'll just allows you to throw all your champions up at the top of the rankings, or regardless um, of their actual wins and losses. I personally don't like it, so I'm going to turn it off. I'd rather have them, you know, ranked or displayed based on their wins and losses. There's currently a weird bug with this one where if you do this and then try to do tag teams, this will turn off. I have fixed that, obviously, but it is not part of the um, public build yet. I don't know whether I'm going to release a hotfix for that because it's not really a big deal. Um, so it may be something that you have to deal with till February. I'm undecided on whether I really want to do a hotfix on that or not. Mark Bain is joining us. Hello, and if you have any questions, which is the purpose of this, feel free to ask away. I will answer anything about the program, anything about Filsinger Games stuff that I know about. And anything I can answer, I will try to answer there. So that was the first of the things that's coming up for February. The second is down here. Grant has been using this a bit, but I have written an importer for COTG Online. So if you have a promotion on there and you'd like to migrate it over, all you need to do is copy and paste the print-friendly versions of it into here and hit import, and it will import the card. I don't use COTG Online, so I don't really have anything to show there. I guess, let's see, if I go down to my test universe here, let's go here. I am going to delete. I will delete that one where Johnny Valentine won the title. Yes, and I will delete. As I say, test title match. Yes. So 11, 12, 84, and the one in 85. Yes. So let's I'll show you how that works a little bit here. You're not going to be able to see my COTG Online stuff because that's not part of the stream. So let's log in over here. Continue my crappy ass test fed. COTG Online is being slow, which is par for the course. Are you not going to show me anything there, COTG Online? Oh, goody. It finally decided to load up. Apparently it has gotten rid of all of my... Oh, I hate this thing. Let's see, add working dates. I don't, yeah. No, we're going like 1972 to 2000. Stupid ass thing. I don't know why anybody thought that was a good idea to like default that to some tiny ass range. Like, who, why? What is the point? Oh, good lord, it doesn't even... Okay, well, let's import this one. So, yeah, you get the print-friendly versions. You're going to take the header, which is the bold part, and you'll come back into here. You go to import event. You put the bold part in here, just paste it as is. You're going to do the same thing with the results. You're just going to take everything from the from all of the matches. This is just only has one match on it, but you know, if you had multiple matches, you just take them all at once. Basically, you want to stop copying right all the way down to where it says overall card rating. You don't need that. It's not going to do you any good. But this is the match. You just hit import, and it will import it. There we go. And we have a match here. And if we go back, it's going to have another title reign for Johnny Valentine, even though he was the current champion, I believe. Yeah. See, it will add the title reigns and stuff. It'll add defenses. All of this was generated by importing cards. So, but that's how that works, and that'll be in February's update as well. That was me trying to make things easy for Grant, because he's got that like 150 card fed that he's now playing on FG Assistant. So I wanted to do that, and I thought it would come in handy for other people who might want to you know, make the switch, or who, you know, they can play on COTG Online when they're out, you know, because they can use it on a browser on their phone and then come home and import those results into this if they want to use both. So yeah, that's pretty much the new stuff. Does anyone have any questions about anything? I know that there were a ton of questions the other day in Grant's chat, and so I was like, well, I should probably do another Q&A, and then it appears that everybody is either busy or not here, so let me post a reminder over on the Phil Singer Games promoter Facebook page. Let's see here. Finding my post. I don't think they deleted it, but I guess it's possible. Nope, here it is. I'm live now. If you've got questions, feel free to join and ask away. Okay, and let me do the same thing in the... Let me do the same thing in here, in the Discord. There we go. So now maybe people will start to show up. So, I know that I'm trying to bring back my... There we go. Everything's loaded up again. So I have added several themes. I am thinking about ways to introduce sort of a theme editor style thing. I know I said I probably wouldn't be done because a lot of these icons are, they change. If you change the theme, that they will change. Um, things like that. The title and the card behind it, and um, they all change based on your theme. But I mean, I can just default it to the Legends icons and just use that. So I think that I may allow for you to change those and sort of come up with your own color themes. Not really sure when that'll happen, but at some point in the future. One of the other things I wanted to cover that I noticed that not a lot of people are using, I added a feedback form. If you hit F12 on your keyboard, it will bring up this form. You can either check feedback or bugs. So if you have suggestions or whatever, it would be feedback. If you need to report a bug, it's bug. You can select whatever you think is relevant here. If it's a low priority bug, a high priority bug, etc. Give it an exam or a summary. Like a top. What is this report about? What is this feedback about? You can enter your email. You don't have to. I probably won't email you back. So there's not a whole lot of need for it, but you can if you want to. And then you enter your detail about what you were doing when you encountered the bug, or how you think the suggestion would work, and then hit submit, and it will submit a nice report for me over on a development forum that tracks these kinds of things. It will automatically sort it and all of that kind of stuff, which is nice for me. So, if you guys have anything you want to use, you can go ahead and do that. Or anything you want to see while you're playing, or you encounter a bug while you're messing around, F12 is your friend. It works on any screen. So, if I go here, it won't show the thing down on the bottom because it would interfere with the buttons. But if you hit F12, it'll still pop up. So you can use that anywhere in the application, and it will work fine. So that was one of the things I added. I also added these nice buttons down here to the console. So if you got the console open and you want to check out your card directory, you can click on the button, or the data directory, you can click on the button. It'll open it up. Should open it up regardless of whether you're on a Windows PC or a Mac or a Linux computer. It should work fine no matter what. So you can do that. You can also access that report bug form from there. So like if you're checking it out and you want to report the bug with the console open. To be fair, reporting the bug will send me what they call a stack trace automatically. So it'll include most of the stuff that would be in the log there. So yeah, not really a big deal if you don't include the log. So, well, it's hard to do a Q&A if people don't show up. So, unfortunately, it doesn't look like people had questions or could be here during this time. So, yeah, I don't have much more to talk about. The match type editor is new. That's a new thing that I added. That's in the January update. You can come in here and add. Basically, it allows you to add the rules for match types. So, like in my no DQ, no count out thing, Salvador America's here, and he has a question. Ask away. I am paying attention to the chat fairly regularly since this is a Q&A, so if you ask it in there, I will get to it as soon as I see it. But yeah, these are just the rules for matches, so if you enter them there, you can, there's a new thing over here, like if we start a one-night match real quick. I cannot download any of my cards right now. How do I go about this? What do you mean download any of your cards? This is not a replacement. It does not integrate with COTG Online. So if you were expecting that, uh, unfortunately, that's not how this works. You basically would need to save the fronts of the cards from your account in as a either a JPEG or a PNG file, and then import them through the normal means where you down here in the if you go to card management, there is a create a card. And yeah, that after you've saved the fronts, you would just go ahead and where is my thing? Like if you were to go here, you'd add the front that way. I scanned them and created a file, but it does not show when I try to download them. So wherever you save them, they should be in PNG or one of these formats. This is what the program will be able to create cards from. It's PNG, JPEG, and bitmap. So if you scanned them and it scanned them as a PDF, that will not work. You need to go back and scan them so that it saves them as an image. And then you just open up wherever these are going to show up automatically. It's going to have your desktop, your documents, your FG Assistant documents, and then your current universe documents. Those will always be there. But if your scanning software saves them somewhere else, like let's say in photos or something, you're going to have to go to that folder on your computer. Unfortunately, the photos folder is kind of weird. It doesn't exist in documents anymore. It's got its own thing. So you need to go to your users document. Usually you can get there by, if you click documents and then get rid of the documents portion, it will bring you to your current user. You did scan them as a PDF. Yeah, it will not load PDFs. In order for it to load PDFs and stuff, I'd have to either write something that would interpret the PDF. Well, I would have to write something that would take a PDF and make sense of it in the context of a Filsinger Games card. And that's not particularly easy to do, especially considering that I don't work with PDFs often, like in my own programming stuff. So like while I'm fine with making PDFs in PDF software, I don't know the file structure and the file format. So that would be a lot of work to learn a pretty complicated and pretty universal format, and then learning how to tear it apart and turn it into something that is usable. So yeah, it's easier for me just to allow the image files instead of PDFs. Yeah, just save them as like I said, they can be PNGs, they can be bitmaps, they can be JPEGs. I prefer PNG files because they're lossless, so you won't get artifacting on a PNG usually. And then I also, when you bring in your image, I suggest that you have rescale image selected, so toggled on, because then it will make it so the program knows the largest size that it will ever display a card, and it rescales the cards to, or the images to be the perfect size for that largest the largest size it would need to be. And so it will save you both file size and RAM when you've got them loaded. So I definitely recommend having that checked on. So, but that's one of the reasons that I like PNGs, is because when you resize them, because there wasn't artifacting to begin with, it won't make it worse, if that makes sense. So yeah. And so let's say you only have the fronts, like you're coming from COTG Online, and you've only got the fronts of your cards because that's all COTG online displays. You can do this if you enter like the basic information. So let me do this real quick. I'm just gonna make something up. He's 6'3", he's 255 pounds. He's from somewhere in Ohio, but I can't remember where. This is a test set. There we go. Now we can get a headshot. So you're going to get this little thing here. It's going to... You can make it a little bigger. Bring it around. Anyway, this will help you get a headshot for him. And then let's say you enter all of his information. I'm just going to enter A's and everything to display, I guess A, S, and D, just so you can see the difference between them. And then we'll come over here and we'll go A, S, and D. Okay. And so if you've done this properly, and even though, see, he has no back right now, if you hit, like, we'll go to save and exit, it will, did you see the little thing that popped up for a second? Now we go to test. It will create a card back for you, just so that you have something. So you don't actually have to enter the backs or to have a scan of the back if you don't want to. It's just something that the application will create for you if you want it to. It doesn't look as good as if you scan the back. I mean, it's fine. Like, it doesn't look bad, but yeah, it's not the same as having a scan back. Like, if you compare that to, like, let's say, the Nick Aldis that Will Harrison and UBU released, you could see that there's a major difference between them in style and how it looks. So, all right, and now let's go delete this. I don't need it in there. It's gross. Delete. Yes. So, but that's basically how that should work. And yeah, you just got to save them as pings, and then you should be good. I know my scanner liked to default them to PDFs when I first started doing this stuff, because it had text and images on the same in the same thing. So yeah, it would save them as PDF files, and you just have to tell it not to, and then you're good. I'm trying to think if there is... So something I worked on this morning, actually, that might be interesting to some people, is in the card creator previously you couldn't... there was no quick and easy way to set metadata for cards that you were creating. And now you can. That'll be in the February update as well. Honestly, that's already pretty much ready to go. If you select a Boolean and type like official and then true, and then add it, it will... Then if I was to create a card and save it, if it was an official card or whatever, it would save it as true. You can remove it if you don't want it there. But yeah, that should save people some time with creating cards and all that wonderful stuff. Like I said, I'm still working on it a little bit. It's pretty much ready to go. There are a couple things I still need to do. I need to make sure it clears in between. Like, if you just hit save instead of save and exit, it may not clear the metadata from the previous card. I need to make sure that it does that. I'm pretty sure that it would, but not 100%. So I need to test it and be sure that it does. That sort of thing. But yeah, that'll be coming in February. That's one of the updates that I have planned. So that's something that I've been meaning to do for quite a while and just haven't got around to. And now that honestly, there's been a pretty good amount of support for this application. So, I've been able to work on it a little more regularly and for longer periods than previous, just because the Patreon helps with that. Um, so thank you if you're a Patreon subscriber. It helps justify all the time I spend on it to my wife mostly, um, because it does make us something. It's not just me essentially wasting all of my time on this silly wrestling card game application. I can treat it like I don't know, a partial job almost. So um, thank you. Um, but yeah, I have, there's just so many. I have so many cards at this point. Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I added. Oh, I know something. Well, I like messing with this random roster thing down here. I did a video kind of showing it off. But I added this new thing that allows you to set a mystery roster if you want. So if you want a random roster, but you don't want to know who's on it till you go to book a card or something, you can set up the randomization settings. Um, Basically, let's say I want my main eventers to be above 40, my mid carders to be above 30, and my lower mid card, 16 is fine. And yeah, then I hit OK, and then I'm gonna hit create a random roster. It's gonna ask you for a name, so you just type in a name. This would be like mystery test. You hit OK, and it will take you out of the roster creator and into, you could go into one night match now. And, if you go to your rosters and then go to all, it will show you all of the cards that it picked. So there you go. It's picked a whole bunch of them. But that's kind of fun. So it generates like a roster. You don't know who's on it till you go to play it, or you load it in the roster editor yourself. But that's how that works. And I've been having fun with the random rosters when I'm testing features and things, and I need to book a whole bunch of stuff but I don't want it to be in my National Wrestling Commission universe or whatever. You can just generate a nice random roster and do it that way. You guys will never have to do that, but it could be a fun way to, I don't know, make a video or something if you wanted to. So, but yeah, I don't really have much more to show off. That was pretty much the extent of the things that I added that I can remember. Oh, there are these now too. This is if you turn on. I'm going to turn on the tooltips just so you can see what they are. But this is basically it allows you to save a backup of the current universe and load a backup of the current universe. So like I have my NWC selected, and if I go to save, it will do its thing. It will save, and then if I go to load, it will go. It'll automatically save into your FG Assistant NWC, like your current promotions documents. And you can see it created in NWC 1/7/2024, which is today's date. And so if I selected that, it would load everything from that backup and reload the data, and you would have it would restore a backup point essentially. It's just nice to have that ability to kind of back up the data when you want it. That way, if something goes wrong, there's some kind of weird corruption, you can go ahead and restore. It doesn't back up your cards or anything. That would just be prohibitively large. I have like with a little more than 1,200 cards in my collection on here. It's like something like 5 GB. It's a fair sized folder. So yeah, it doesn't do that. Just it would take forever and be not that useful. especially since they can't be moved or anything. So it's like, what's the point? I think that several people have run into this in the recent month and a half or so, where cards don't save properly. And usually it's because there was like a data entry error at some point or something. And, the program doesn't catch everything. It tries its best, but, you know, it can be hard to account for um, every combination of input or whatever. So, there have been a couple of times where people have had cards that don't save and then they get basically an empty card, and the program when it would load up or load the data, it would error out when it tried to load that card and just kind of hang up. I have added a catch for that now in most instances. So if it encounters a card that it can't read, it should no longer lock up the program. It should pop up a box that says like, "Hey, do you want this card? It can't be read. Would you like to delete it?" Essentially, and if you hit yes, then it will delete it and go on its merry way. If not, then it will skip it essentially and ask you the next time. So it should no longer hang up on problematic cards anymore, which should fix the issue for some people. Um, but yeah, so that's what's been going on on the FG Assistant side of things. If anybody's got any more questions, I would be happy to answer them. Like I said, they don't necessarily have to be specific to FG Assistant. Just anything related to Phil Singer card stuff, um, FG Assistant, wrestling in general, whatever. Um, if not, then I'll probably wrap this up in a few minutes, and we can go about our days. So just let me know, and I will, like I said, I'll keep it open for a little while longer, probably for about another, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or so, just in case somebody comes in a little late. Um, Probably wrap it up about noon if nobody has anything. I'll just kind of hang out in here and wait for questions in case anybody has any. Sure, question about bootlegger. Go ahead. Bitmap files won't load into PDF tool. Um, that's just me not considering that people might want to load bitmap files. Honestly, it probably just defaults to you can only load PNGs. Correct? It's been a little bit since I've used Bootlegger. I use a Photoshop template that I have all set up. Bootlegger is great, but it's fairly restrictive. It does what it wants to do with your card, instead of, so like if I wanted to slightly scoot a text over a little bit or whatever, it won't let me, and I don't like that. So I use my Photoshop template. So I don't use it as often as other people. Okay, so I just included ping and JPEG, but not bitmap. I'll add bitmap to it the next time I do an update. I don't know when that will be exactly. Um, I've got a lot of stuff on my plate, but the next time I do a bootlegger update, I'll be sure to add bitmap files into the thing. It's really just me being an asshole and not not just assuming that people didn't use bitmap files because they're not super common um, these days. But yeah, it shouldn't be very difficult. It just I've got to basically find time to load up Bootlegger and make the changes. So, I mean, for a little while, the FG Assistant would only load ping files because that's what I use and that's what I assumed everybody else used. But I was incorrect, and people started emailing me about needing to use other formats, or like, hey, I scanned them as JPEGs. Why aren't they not showing up? And I'm like, because I just didn't think that anybody used JPEGs. And so yeah, you know, eventually you realize that not everybody does things exactly the same way you do. So, but yeah, so I'll add that. Um, I just I'm not committing myself to a timeline because I don't know when I'll find the time to do it. But definitely am glad that people are using Bootlegger. One of my biggest um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I remember you telling me that you do them in MS Paint, which is insane, and I don't know how you tolerate MS Paint that way. I can't do it. MS Paint is just the worst to me. But I guess if you're used to it, you know, it it probably doesn't bother you as much. But yeah, so um, I'll make like I said, I'll add that in there when I have a chance. It it's really just me needing to. Honestly, the program supports it already. It's just I need to update the file dialogues to support bitmap. Otherwise, it won't let you load them. So, but yeah, I'm glad that people are using it. It seems like um, people are more people are checking it out. I was talking with Chad Olson the other day about things, and he had mentioned that he had been mucking around with Bootlegger to sort of he was trying to learn it. So because I helped him format his the what is it, the Fabulous Clam and Gil the Great for his River Rumble stuff, and he was like, I'm learning Bootlegger, so maybe I won't need your help next time. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm glad. Um, I think that it's definitely a good tool for the community to have. Um, it was one of those things where there were just so many weirdly formatted bootlegs, and I'm like, why? Why are these so hard on the eyes? Or so. Oh man, I have been up since 4:30, so I'm already tired. It's like it's like not even noon here yet, and I'm like, when is bedtime? I use Bootlegger almost every day now. Yeah, I'm glad that people are using it. Like I said, I don't use it very much in my own stuff. Like when I do my bootleg layouts, I actually have a Photoshop um, template that I use that um, is a lot more flexible than Bootlegger is. Um, and so I tend to stick with that just because, like I said, sometimes I want to move, some text around or something, especially with things like the mechanics and stuff. Like Bootlegger will auto fit it in there, and it does an okay job. It doesn't look awful, but sometimes if you just scoot it to the left a little bit more, um, instead of shrinking the font size, it will fit fine. But Bootlegger doesn't allow you to do that. It'll just shrink the font size. So I use it a little less than other people do, but I'm definitely glad to see other people using it. You don't have Photoshop. Have you ever looked into stuff like what is it, Paint.net and GIMP? Both of those are free, and they're a lot. I think GIMP will load Photoshop templates and stuff even. So like, it, GIMP is a lot nicer than MS Paint if you're looking to upgrade your template a little bit. Um, but honestly, MS Paint can do most things that you would need it to. It doesn't do layering, which would drive me nuts. But but yeah, I mean, if you're unfamiliar with Paint.net and with GIMP, you can give them a look. They're free, open source software. So actually, I think Paint.net is not open source, but it's free, and GIMP is free and open source. So I am I'm not the biggest fan of open source software is sort of a weird double-edged sword for me. It's like I think it's cool, but I don't really like releasing things open source. Partially just because am I'm not the neatest coder in the world. I'm self-taught, so I probably have a lot of bad habits. So I tend not to use open source software. Or not use it. I tend not to write open source software. Okay. Well, about 15 more minutes, and if there are no more users or questions, we'll wrap things up. Again, if you have more questions, feel free to ask. I'm open to bootleg construction questions, FG assistant questions, bootlegger questions, general FG questions, wrestling questions, whatever. Unfortunately, it's hard to play a match and do the question and answer stuff at the same time. One question though. Yeah, shoot. Go ahead. That is what I am here for. Let me turn off. Um, yes, FG Assistant. The rating system is really similar to Raw. I don't use. It's my own thing that is super based on Raw. It doesn't do tag team ratings. I don't feel that they're that important. It just kind of rates things. But I think everything else from Raw is pretty much the same. So like it's usually like a couple of points off on Raw. But if you look, if I like, let's say I load up. Let's go here and then back to all cards so that it loads everything again. But let's say I'm going to go down to the Legends Color Starter Set. Let's see, Legends Color Starter Set. Like, if you look up here, it'll have a card rating. I think it even shows, yeah, there you can see it better. So like it rated Bruce Brody of 46. I don't know what he's rated in, like just with straight Raw, but it'll be somewhere in that range. I guarantee it. Like maybe he's a 44 or maybe he's a 47. I don't know. But it's close enough that it works essentially the same way. So yes, it does rate them. It is dependent on people entering the information incorrectly. So, you know, if people make errors when they're entering stuff, then it will, give the raw rating incorrectly. But Provided everything was entered properly, it will rate them. Go back here. I noticed that Creeksider says I'm a perfectionist, so no worries. I notice that a lot of people in the community are a bit on the persnickety side. I'm fairly um, perfectionist myself with certain things, so I hear you. And in case you were unaware, I think Mark is the subscriber in here. I did upload a Terrible Ted recently. If you're interested in that, I can't do Vic. I have Victor the bear colored and everything, but because he's an official card, I can't upload him, even though he's long out of print and you can't get him anymore. But I did do Terrible Ted. He was a bootleg in the what is it, the Maple Leaf Wrestling set by Canadian Pitbull and Jared Rickert, I believe. But yeah, I just colored in Terrible Ted and uploaded him. So he's on Mod.io if you haven't checked in a couple of days. I do check there fairly regularly for new uploads. But yeah, it can get a little slow. Not a whole lot of people share their or have bootlegs to share, I guess. I found that most people are intimidated by statting cards. I don't really know why that is, but I find that a lot of people feel like it's like really hard. Jared is actually doing those. I don't know whether you're part of PDF Prime or not, but Jared Rickert, who worked with Canadian Pitbull on the Nightmares of the Mat set, is slowly colorizing all of them as part of the PDF Prime offerings. Like I've gotten like a colored Luna. I've gotten a colored Dr. Sam Shepard. Um, there have been a couple of other ones, but yeah, he's definitely doing it sort of slowly. Most of the colorations have that he's done have Warner artwork, but there are a couple that he used different artists for. I have been uploading all the indie sets. When you say uploading, you mean entering them into the application? Because when you say uploading, like I'm like I hope you haven't been trying to upload them to Mod.io, because otherwise I'll have a bunch of stuff I have to deny. Because yeah, official cards it can't technically be uploaded. They can be entered into the program, but they can't be uploaded. Okay, you said yeah, so that's good. That's what I was hoping you meant. I was like, please, please don't upload a bunch of of indie cards. And so I'm not gonna load them. I'm not going to upload them myself because I feel like it would be weird. But I talked to Greg Hunter, who does the Hunter's Forge belt stuff. He gave me permission to use this one here, the LWF World title, and that GWF one on the. If I switch over to the Champions of the Galaxy screen, he said to me that if they commissioned any of the belts, they're free to upload them wherever they want. And if you haven't commissioned them, any of the ones that he's posted on the forums, so like the Legends belts that he has posted there, you're free to use those and to upload them onto the Mod.io page and everything for others to use all you want. Like I said, I won't do it because I feel like that would be weird because I was the one who asked to make sure that was okay. And so I feel like now me doing it would just be like I was only asking him so that I could just dump all of his stuff up there. But if other users want it and want to put it up there, he has said that that's fine. I won't delete those. So if somebody wants to upload those or share those, they're welcome to do that. And I know that Hexstar, who has done the manual for us, if you are unfamiliar, there is like a 200-page manual if you click this button right here. Hexstar has commissioned a whole bunch of Champions of the Galaxy belts that he said that he'll get around to uploading at some point in the future. So eventually there will be a whole bunch of Champions belts. And I know Grant has commissioned some too for like his Golden State Wrestling and Hollywood Elite. I'm not sure if he's going to upload those, but Greg Hunter definitely does good work, and his belts are generally the right size and compatible for the with the program. So yeah, Hexstar has gone above and beyond. Tell me about it. Um, that the manual is absolutely nuts. Like I am one of those people. I think everybody in this community is a little bit older. Like we all remember like buying software and getting an actual manual instead of some friggin' like get in your way tutorial thing that just pops up everywhere and you're like, get this the fuck out of my face. Like I don't want to see this right now. I'd rather just have a manual, but all modern software has pretty much done away with manuals. But I decided not to, and Hexstar took it upon himself to compile that. And so yeah, it's like 190 pages of how to do just about everything, and it's great. And I am super thankful to him. And I will let you know now that if you're a subscriber, um, I can't like I use the subscriber money, a lot of it, to pay Warner for the for bootlegs and stuff. For the the bootlegger tier um, Patreons and stuff, so that I have stuff to give them every month. But anytime there or if there's leftovers and it's big enough to justify sending him a PayPal, I have paid Hexstar for the manual, so you're helping him out as well by subscribing to the Patreon. Just he's not. I'm not slave driving him. He's getting something out of it at least, thankfully. Um, so, but he has done a great job with it, and he just mentioned we have a testing group that a couple of I think there are like 7 or 8 of us, um, and he's going to be doing an update to cover sort of the newer stuff soon, and that way it might actually be ahead of you guys. So if like you click on the button, we'll talk about things that are coming in the February update. He tries to be mindful of that stuff, but if he's got the time to do it, um, he may as well get it done. And then what'll happen is he'll get it done, and then I will change the layout of the screen, and he'll have to do it all over again. That's happened a couple of times where he'll get all the information done, and then I'll go ahead and change the layout so all of his screenshots are out of date, and he's got to go take new screenshots. Just because he is also a perfectionist about making sure that the screenshots match up with what you're seeing in game, especially with video games. Regarding the manuals, yeah, I really don't play very many video games these days. I did a lot, and then I got a job programming them, and now I barely touch them. So that's been my video game thing. Like every once in a while, I'll play MLB The Show. We just got a PS5, um, and I got the new MLB The Show and golf. I really like golf video games. They're very relaxing. Um, PGA Tour 2K21, and I did just get 2K23 for the PS5, but I haven't tried it yet actually. I'm really not much of a video gamer. My son and my wife play them a lot more than I do. I usually spend my time programming. I think it's one of those things, and I don't know if uh, this is common to everybody or whether it's just my weird autistic thing, but like when you know how to create something, it just like it feels like such a waste of time when you are not creating something. Does that make sense? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know whether other people have the same hang up that I do. Um, but I feel like because I can program like game adjacent things or video games. I mean, I could do video games if I wanted to. I have no artistic ability. Um, so, I'd have to use other people's art. But if I'm not creating the things that I know how to create, I feel like I'm wasting my time. Um, I just have to be creating stuff. I can't just sit down and enjoy things for what they are. I just it's a weird hang up, I guess. I mean, yeah, I like making the bootlegs that I make too. I don't know whether I like making them more than playing with them. Like the Phil Singer game stuff is one of those things that I do enjoy sitting down and just playing. But you know, uh, I definitely like being able to create stuff was a big like draw to me. Like finding out that they were cool with bootlegs and that they tacitly supported them. Like I know that, I guess Tom has expressed some like meh kind of feelings about bootlegs. Like he understands that they why they exist and isn't going to try to stop them from existing, but I don't think he is hugely a fan of them. But once I found out that they at least tacitly supported it, um, that was a big thing in drawing me in and getting me to really focus down on the community and be a part of things because I played the game for since like not like as long as some people. I got into it like right before Legends went color, so like some of the last um, black and white sets were like that's about when I got into it. So what was that, like 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. And yeah, and then I started playing, but I didn't really get involved in the community until like 2020 because I just didn't. I don't know, I just didn't. And then I started working on this sort of thing, and Mike eh, had a talk with me on the forums because I posted a link to like a very early version of this sort of thing, and he was like, "Hey, we don't allow digital stuff on the forum. Like, I can't stop you from doing it, but and it doesn't seem like you're trying to make any trouble with it, but you can't post it here." So, and that's been, I mean, if you look at it like the FG assistant stuff, I can't post like a hey guys, come check this out over on the official forums, which is kind of a bummer, because I think a lot of people over there who don't venture into Grant's Discord or the Facebook group would enjoy it. But I don't want to break their rules. I've been really uncomfortable stepping on their toes because I want like I have had conversations with them outside of um, just about other things, and they're all cool people and good people, and I don't really want to like upset them or do things that they don't that they're not cool with. So I've always been mindful of that. But it got to the point where I was telling people who were watching my videos and stuff when I was posting my fed, like, oh, I'm just waiting for them to say something. And it was like, all right, well, I've been waiting for them to say something for 6 months now. So, you know, basically, I'm going to do what I'm going to do now. Um, I put the feelers out there and they just didn't go anywhere. And I'm open to working with them in the future, but um, at this point, I guess they'd have to come to me. I tried going to them and it just kind of broke down. I know that, people get busy. It's sort of a side hustle for all of them. So, you know, but it is what it is. And, we're just moving on how we're moving on. And so, yeah, I can't advertise over on the official forums. And so, and I've been real careful about not posting the Patreon link in the Facebook group either. Um, just because I don't want the Facebook group is more official than Grant's Discord. And so yeah, I just kind of yeah, that's kind of what I said to Mike when I talked to him. It's like we need an offline virtual tabletop. You know, like the online thing is great, but not everybody wants to be constantly online. I don't want to have to rely on the server being up. I don't want to rely on the server not being weighed down. I don't want to rely on having internet. It's like not that I don't have internet. At this point, pretty much everybody has internet like all the time. Um, but it's like I just don't want that to be a requirement for things. Like this has some online portions, mod.io, all that kind of thing. You have to be online for that to work. But you can use the program without that working. Like that's extra stuff. Like everything else works fine. And that's kind of what I wanted, like I wanted it to be on my computer doing my thing. And all the data was stored on my computer. I didn't have to worry about being online. And the other thing is, I like being responsible for my own cards. I don't like subscription models, and I don't like digital models that don't give me access to the things that I'm paying for. So, like, you buy the cards digitally from Filsinger, and that's cool. But when you pay them that money, the you're not buying the cards, you're buying a license to use the database that they have online that represents those cards. And that database will not always be there. Um, I'm not saying that they're going to take it down or anything, but just, 40 years in the future, that database may not be there. I mean, I'm not saying that you will be able to use this 40 years in the future for sure either, because we don't know what computers are going to look like 40 years into the future. But my point is that, they could take that away at any point. And I don't like that. I don't like paying money for that. It's the same reason that I don't like, I have no problem with digital purchases from, like, Bandcamp, where they give me a download link to the MP3s that I just paid for, but I won't pay for Spotify or Apple Music or none of that crap, because I don't get that stuff. That stuff is completely dependent on them, on it always on them supplying it to me. It's why I don't buy things on Amazon Prime, like the Amazon Video, because you can't download it and put it on a disc and play it on your thing. You just it's there in the cloud for you until they decide that it's not, that they don't have the licensing or whatever, to supply it to you anymore. And so yeah, that digital model just doesn't work for me. And that was one of the big things with that I started doing this, is that I'm not a big fan of those kind of digital models. I want I bought the physical cards because that's what I like. I like physical things. When I collect something, I still collect records and CDs, even though most people have switched to sort of digital music. And it's like, I don't care for that. It's not interesting to me. So, I still buy my records and my CDs. and physical physical game cards are the same thing. I buy the physical game cards and I should be able to use them digitally if I want to without having to rebuy them. And this fixed that problem. That was my that was my thing with this is I already own the cards, so I want to use them digitally because time and space and all that other stuff. And so I created something that allowed me to do that. And I'm lucky. Like I couldn't imagine, like be having the hangups that I do and not being able to do this. Like that would drive me nuts. It's like, look, I want to play this online. I want to be able to sit at my computer and I don't want to have to take up the table, the coffee table because my wife is watching TV. I don't want to have to take the coffee table away from her and set up my stuff on there. It's like we can both be in the same room doing our things. And not be in each other's way. But yeah, that's not possible if all I've got is physical cards, and like I said, I don't really like the digital format that they went with, so I'm just like, okay. And that led to the birth of my first application, which was Windows only, and it was more of a simulator style. It was like if you've ever messed with the COTG online simulation thing, and like and actually rolling the dice, so it was like a weird combination of the two where it automated all of the mechanics, but you still had to roll the dice, by clicking the button, same as in here. Um, and I decided that I didn't really like the automation of all the mechanics because it led to, like, every time they'd release a new set, or there was some weird thing that happened only on one card or something, suddenly the application was completely out of date, and I'd have to go back and I'd have to edit it and I'd have to add in new automation for the mechanics. And it led to me basically writing an entire programming language for the application, which is cool. And everybody could you could basically make any card you wanted with it because eventually that programming language could modify any variable on the card or that would pop up in the match or whatever. But if that's cumbersome and whatever. And so I started working on this. This actually started as a phone program for Android devices, and I still have the Android stuff. I always told people that maybe at some point I'd release the Android version for people who are more adventurous. Um, I'm not an app store creator. It costs money to get your self certified for all that kind of stuff. Um, and I don't want to pay it because I don't really use phones very much. But you can install it just as an APK file. So like if you plug your phone into your computer with a USB, you can drag the APK file over, and then as long as you accept, like it'll warn you a bunch of times that, oh, you're running a thing that isn't from the app store, like you're gonna wreck your phone, you jerk off, what are you doing? And if you just tell it shut up, I don't care, enough times, it will let you install it and run it. So um, I've always told people that maybe I'd release that at some point in the future. The other issue is that it has no card creator, because typing on the little phone keyboard for 18 input fields for offense and 18 input fields for defense, and the mechanics and the name and everything else would be such a pain in the ass that I just said to hell with that. And it links to this through a server program that you would also have to download, and you basically run it on your Windows computer, and it allows you to allow you to put in your local IP address, so like whatever it is, 10.0.0.72 or whatever, and it will connect to the server and download all the cards from your desktop application. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass to set up, which is why I never thought about releasing it like seriously, it'd be sort of one of those things that I just offered up to probably like the what is it, the bootlegger plus tier members of the Patreon or above. Yeah, at some point, that's kind of something I've been kicking around, but again, that'll be sort of off in the future. But yeah, this was originally a an Android app. Doesn't run on iOS. Apple is there. Remember, I was saying, that the phone will tell you like, "What are you doing? You're gonna wreck your phone," sort of things. Well, Apple doesn't allow for that. You have to go through their app store, and getting like a certification on there. I think it costs $150 to become an Apple developer, and I don't own an iPhone, and I don't have any interest in owning an iPhone. I don't own a Mac, which is another thing. Like, I'd have to pay Unity for their cloud build service just to build an iOS version. And so, yeah, I just, no, I'm just not interested. So, yeah, Apple sucks. I agree. Um, I support the Mac OS stuff because they're less shitty about that. Like their desktop computing OS, they're more open. So like I can support Mac OS without actually owning a Mac and without paying them a bunch of money. Um, you know, I think Grant had to do there was something that Grant had to do to get it to run the first time, but then after that it was good. Like he just had to enable something that basically said that he trusted this developer or something like that, and then it was okay from there on out. Um, but yeah, Apple's just they make everything a pain. I've just and they've done that since before the iPod and iPhone put that like when they were just still releasing just computers, they were a pain in the ass. Like they they want to simplify everything to the point that it becomes complicated to do anything um, that isn't basic. So it's just yeah, I've never been a Mac fan. All right, so it is 12:15, and it seems like either people just couldn't make it or didn't have questions. I know that Salvador America showed up, and Creeksider and Mark Bain were here, and thank you very much for stopping by and asking questions. And if you guys don't have any more questions, we can probably wrap this up because I feel like at this point I'm just kind of rambling about stuff. I'm if you've ever met me or been at one of the virtual cons with me, you'll know that I'm perfectly fine with just rambling about stuff. But I'm sure we all have other things to do. So I will wrap this up. I plan to make these monthly. Um, and like I said, even if it's just me sitting in here talking to one or two people or myself for an hour or something every month, then that's what I'm going to do. Just because I don't know when people might have questions, and it's easier for me to talk than it is to type. So this is just an easy way for me to connect with people and get things done. So, all right, guys. Well, y'all have a good weekend, or what's left of it. I guess it's Sunday, so um, one of the perks of working from home is that any day can be a weekend if you really need it to be. But yeah, I will catch you all later, and y'all